Hello guys, welcome to the another session on from VRIT. So today we will discuss about in a project, in a production support or maintenance project, right? There is something called KT. You will often hear this word KT, which is called knowledge transfer. Okay, how this knowledge transfer works? Who is accountable for this? Where are this documentation? So what typically they transfer, right? Then when they say knowledge, what is the knowledge, right? And what are the other components involved, what are the terminologies involved. Okay, all this I will go through this. And then what exactly you need to have, the skill set you need to have in order to understand the knowledge transfer, define the scope, and then get the knowledge from somebody else, and then do the documentation, and then create a Excel spreadsheet that what you have, what is the knowledge transfer completed. Okay, that could be 1,000 topics, right? So how do we create a transparency? Okay, so when I have people, when they join the new project, they go into the KT. Okay, so they say I'm taking knowledge transfer, great, but what you have done today? I was just listening to somebody talking from offshore. That's not what you do, right? If I hired somebody, if I'm a project manager, which I called them and said, what did you do today? Jay, I was sitting there and we were listening to this, we were doing conversation, but what is the documentation? What notes you took? What's your level of understanding? How many percentage you completed? You still need more help. How many days you think you will need, right? Status update. That's very important. Okay, you cannot hide away from all these responsibilities for too long, right? You have to create your status report, send it to the manager so that they know what you're doing, right? Those type of things. So I usually push people when somebody onboard somebody, I call them, what you're doing. They said taking KT. Can you send me the KT status? Okay, you have to tell me give me the KT. So don't just tell me over phone. Send me the Excel spreadsheet. Tomorrow, when you have a meeting with your manager, this is what you're going to show him, right? So these are the KT topics, where we are, what is covered, and how many percent is completed, and how much knowledge you have right now, and what help you need, when you can actually start working on this, when you can independently, right? If you put everything in a paper, right, that is when you know the scope of the work. Make sense? You want to drive, let's say you want to pass a driving test, we have a strategy, right? When we're going to join the class, how are we going to drive, whom with whom, when we will complete this, and we always have a strategy, right? Right. So first is knowledge transfer. So left and right, there's always knowledge transfer. There's something called SR, standard routine. What is standard routine? Anybody knows? It's like an instruction manual to execute a step, execute a program, a process, a step, etc. It's like an instruction manual. Okay, I learned this. So let's say somebody is giving a KT. So can you really do this? Right? So I'm telling Shas, we are defining, right? Okay, define a dunning procedure, go and do this, go and do this. This is what we do, this is what we do this. Then over a period of time, after the 30 minutes into the call, you'll forget everything, right? So you have to have an instruction manual. So what do you do first step? What do you do next? What do you do next? What do you step-by-step process, right? That is called standard routine. I actually shared one document just now with Kevin, so I can show that to you. Okay, it's already open. Windows like to open it again. Okay, so this is one sample standard routine. So dispute management case, dispute case closure. How a program or how a process will happen, what are the steps in order to close a dispute management in a dispute case. Okay, so what is this? So this is how they define step by step. Okay, so whenever you take a KT, okay, very important is you have to do the step by step process. Where do you log in first? What access you need, right? And who wants to document? When was it created? Okay, and what is the scope of this, right? So if you look at this is beautifully created. So SAP box, okay, I'm sorry, I should remove this. 7. Okay. So what system ID you use, you log into. Then you can, if you have other details step by step, you can insert it here. Okay. Now, what is it and what does it do? So what's the scope? What exactly it does, right? A dispute case will be automatically set to a closed status if dispute amount field is equal to 0, root cause code is populated, is not a blank. Okay. This is what this does. And they're giving an example. Okay. Correct. You take a KT, you should be able to explain to somebody. Right, Kevin?
Exactly.
Somebody stops in the elevator and asks you, what did you do, Kevin, today? You said, well, I was taking a KT. So what? What exactly is the KT is all about? No, there's a program it runs and then I have to execute the program. Okay, so what? What does it do? Right? You should be able to explain in a very layman terms what is the functionality it covers. Correct?
Correct.
Otherwise, people are not interested. If you do some technical programs in the names and jargons, nobody's interested, right? So you basically give an example. See, if the disputed amount is 0, then the root cause code is populated. Dispute case will be automatically closed. Auto dispute case closure program that runs every night picks up the dispute cases. Yeah, when I try to talk slow, I stammer. It's opposite for me. Now, who uses it? The program is executed as a bad job every night. How is it accessed? Right? It is like telling a story to a kid. If the kids start asking a question, right? Then what happens? Then what happened? Right? So why? Because he have to treat other people do not know this. Right? It has to be very detailed. Now, when I say that, this is my definition of this standard routine, right? You cannot assume others would know something, right?
Right.
You cannot take it for granted. Even when I write an email, when I tell people to write an email, you cannot take it for granted that other people, you cannot assume that other people would know. You have to be as much as detail as enough, right?
Correct.
Right? So how does it help? It helps your writing skill, communication skill, right? Tomorrow people will call, Shas, can you explain this? Why? Because he knows, the manager knows you are very detailed enough, right? That he can watch a trailer and talk about this for 3 hours. Right? That was a joke. So how is it accessed? What is the transaction code? What's a program, right? How does it run? Manual or batch job? It's a batch job. I'm sorry, I should remove this guy. Nobody sees this. Oh man. Who is the point of contact? Okay. And what is the development ID, which is your, this is called, if it's a custom program, there is a documentation on this, what the custom program does, right? And what is the batch job ID? What are the critical fields used? So if this requires testing, what should be checked? After the program has been executed, check whether the dispute cases with disputed amount being 0 and root cause populated should have a status closed. Now, what are the common issues, right? Now, this is the common issue. Great, your standard routine is great, but does it work all the time? Right? That could be an exception. Something will fall through the crack. Right? So what are the other common issues? You have to cover them. Then other relevant information. Due to system issues, if the program failed to close the dispute case, APC must manually close the dispute case. Okay, APC stands for Accounts Payment Coordinator. Okay, and so on. So now, the first step in a standard routine is, you should think about this, it should be understandable and can be executed by anyone else, anybody, right? So basically, you're leaving the company, your document will still be there, right? So once you create all the documentation, it will be still there forever. It should be useful for the future consultants to come. That guy should be able to take this and execute this without asking any question with anybody. So it should be that detailed. Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
That's called standard routine. So in a big companies, they create standard routines for pretty much everything, right? Americans, they love standard routines, right? Most of the time when you call in a call center, if you ask a different question, they don't know what to answer. right? They are standard routine. They are trained. They are expecting this type of question. Their response is already created in their mind, right? So they love standard routines. Okay, so something like Americans, they like this. The 3S. Anybody knows what is the 3S? I think we discussed this before. Simplify, standardize.
Share.
Right. Sorry, my spelling mistake. Standardize and share. Okay. So Americans love doing this. Okay. They try to simplify the process and then they standardize. Okay. So that we are not expecting anything out of the blue, right? It's standard. It is easy for them, right? Instead of things that like a chaotic and very chaos environment, and expect the expected things, right? That's a rule. Don't expect the unexpected. Expect the expected things, right? That way they build the system in a way it's very simplified, it's standardized, so that they can share to the outside world, right? So their corporate headquarters, most of the corporate headquarters on US. So they could share this concept, they could share this, the standard routine, they could share the payment program, the dunning, run everything to the, to their people in China, to their employees in Singapore or Ethiopia or Morocco and wherever it is, right? So that's very important. So when you think about this, you should also think about mind. When you create a standard routine, you should think about this. How can you share this to other people? Okay. If it just helps you to understand, great. But that is not how a consultant work, right? Now, the next thing is standard routine. There are other fancy stuffs as well. When it typically happens is, and in a typically knowledge transfer, what are the steps, right? Okay. First thing is defining the scope, right? The scope. So let's say Kevin today is taking a job with the company. What the company is doing is, it's a water treatment plant company. They sold part of the company, okay, to other company. So this company, existing company, there's a lot of ruffling noise. Is there anybody moving the papers on the desk or? Okay. So the company, HCL is doing this managed services, production support, okay. Now the part of the company is sold to other company. It's a smaller company. Maybe it's a spin-off, or they got separated or divested, whatever it is, or acquired by some other company. That company, Tech Mahindra, is doing the knowledge transfer. Actually, the other way around. Tech Mahindra is doing a managed services production support for a company. In that company, the part of company was spin-off into a different company. That company doesn't want HCL, sorry, doesn't want Tech Mahindra. They want HCL to take over, do the production support. Okay, so now HCL got the contract. Now Tech Mahindra is doing the production support in the existing company. So our good friend Kevin is going to be represent HCL, work with the Tech Mahindra guys and get the knowledge transfer. Because so far these guys are executing the work, right? Now the thing is, as you know, I'm recording this, Indians are really bad in documentation, right? They have no clue. They assume things very bad now. So they assume things and then they don't really put some graphical goods. They don't define the scope and so on. Okay, but when I say well, not everybody, not from anybody from my school, what I want to do is, you have to take by step process. That's why I'm doing this, right? Instruction manual, it should be understandable and can be executed by anybody. You cannot assume that, what, I know this, so what? Somebody else can take this and do this, can execute this. That's very important, right? So first thing is you define the scope. So what are the 1,000 things that I have to in the scope? First thing, you define the scope. Next thing is, find the documentation, right? So you get the scope. Is there existing documentation? Correct? So you have to create a Excel spreadsheet saying that whether you have existing documentation or not, right? So once you have the scope, then you say whether the documentation available or not. If not, okay, who is the owner? Okay, reach out to him. Okay, if none, right? If none available, if that's not available, so you create them or have somebody create it. So that could be you, right? Okay, now create a status report, KT status log or report, where you capture the scope, okay, KT plan by date. So when are we starting the KT, right? What is the first thing we are doing? Recurring entry document, asset depreciation, right? 2 days. Cost center settlement, 2 days, right? So you have to plan the KT, correct? By date, where you then capture the scope and then you plan this KT by plan date and then assign owner, put percentage of completion. Okay. And very important thing is when you take the ownership. Okay, so far somebody's doing it and he's giving a KT to you. Okay, and when you can take the ownership. Make sense? So this all goes into the status report. You agree, Sindhuja?
Yes,
Any
sir.
disagreements? It could be more, right? You could be creative. I mean, if you ask, I can actually put more. The next thing is shadowing. This is a very important concept called shadowing. Okay. Anybody know what's called shadowing? Harman?
I'm not sure. Is it shadowing a person in the field who knows the job?
Exactly. Okay. Shadowing means it typically what happens is they do primary shadowing and secondary shadowing. Okay. Primary shadowing and secondary shadowing. So what they do, okay. So, they also call it different terminologies, right? Shadowing plan. It's also called observe, execute, and execute and observe. No, execute, observe. Okay. Observe, execute, observe, or primary shadowing, secondary shadowing. So anybody has a clue what it is? Najaf? Are you there, Najaf?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any idea? No? Okay. So when there's a shadowing plan, it's called primary. So let's do this, okay? So this is the KT plan, simple KT plan. Let's do this. So I'm going to have some questions and answers come out from you, okay? So, so Dunning program, okay? Scope of work. Item, scope. This is the first KT item, scope, Dunning program, okay? So this company is executing Dunning program, okay? Now HCL is supporting this. Going forward, Tech Mahindra is going to take over this for the support role. So everybody knows what's a Dunning program, but the way they do things could be different, right? The Dunning procedure is different, Dunning interval is different, Dunning areas is different, right? The customer record is different, right? Those all should be covered in the KT. Make sense? Yes.
Yes.
Right. Now the scope is Dunning program. Now KT start date. When are you going to start the KT? Okay. So let's put a date today. Tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Let's do tomorrow. Now, owner. So I'm going to put owner Kamala. If somebody's not happy, I can change the name. Now, who is the receiver, right? Shahs. Put Najab. Okay. Then what else? What is missing here? Documentation available? Yes. If no, right? Mitigation. If the documentation is not available, what is the mitigation? Okay. So you can say have the owner create it. That's one option. Or what's the other option? Have the receiver create it and get it validated by the owner. Make sense?
Okay, makes sense.
Right? I miss my workman. I love writing stories like this. Okay, so if no mitigation, what do? So have the owner create or have the receiver create it and get validated by the owner, right? So KT start date, and you can also add this here, insert KT end date. Let's say it goes over, it just takes 1 day, but let's put 2 days. Okay. Now status, the percentage of completion. You can say in progress, right? This one, next step, not started. For example, if we have something else, for example, second step is recurring entry. Okay. And blah, all this stuff, right? So we can say it starts 08. Let's put 06, 2020. And then it ends on 02, 06, 2020. And then owner is Sinthucha. And then the receiver is Kevin. Documentation available? No. Then one of these options, right? This is not started yet. Okay, status, in progress, percentage of completion. You can also put, if this is in progress, they can put 30%. Actually, you know something, the percentage of completion, it is actually these days, the modern project management methodology, they don't agree this, you know, right? They don't really take percentage. In the project management, if somebody asks you what's the percentage of completion, nobody can tell this, right? You cannot quantify by percentage.
Okay.
Right? No, you cannot say 50% complete, 30% completed. It is just a ballpark, but it's very, if somebody is telling me 50% completed, I wouldn't be satisfied because you don't know other 50%, how long the other 50% will take, right?
Exactly.
Right? So it does not really convert to number of days, right? The percentage of completion would never, you could say, assuming that the remaining 70% you're going to finish in next 2 days, right? It may not happen. So it is just ballpark. Anyways, you guys know what I'm saying? Anybody else?
So do you still provide it or not at all? Just the status?
Exactly. So you could say percentage of completion, yeah, exactly, started or not started. But however, your manager who's at a high level, right? He also wants to be comfortable, right? When he talks to somebody, again, that's the only way they could tell somebody is convert this to some kind of statistics, some kind of numbers, quantifiable. So they said 40%. Okay. But if the guy is smart, he knows the other 60% would take more than 2 days or 3 days, right? So they only when they say 30% completed, they only going to pitch, okay, so far it's completed. Future is uncertain. Tomorrow's rain is unpredictable, right? So percentage of completion, and then primary shadowing. So primary shadowing basically means, okay, owner is the primary, is a secondary, okay?
Okay.
So he's a primary, Kamala is a primary owner. She's giving KT to Najaf on this Dunning program. The KT will end on 7th, right? So this is just a KT. But when this actual Dunning program will run, let's say it runs on for 15th, okay? Make sense?
Yes. Okay.
So primary shadowing means the secondary person will shadow the primary. Najaf will shadow Kamala. Kamala will execute this and Najaf will look over her shoulders. That's called second primary will perform the task. Secondary will, they call it look over the shoulders. Clear? Najaf?
Yes, Jay.
Who do not understand this? Ashish? Any question, Ashish?
No.
Umid?
No.
You good?
Yes. Yes.
Then comes secondary shadowing, which means the secondary will do the work. Right? Secondary shadowing, not showing. Right? So in this situation, what will happen? Umid? Unit.
Yes.
What happened?
So like whatever the Najaf like secondary shadowing the primary, they're gonna do their work forward, and there'll be some another person to shadow them too, I think.
Right. So in this situation, Kamala will do the job and Najaf will sit next to her and watch over the shoulder, right? What she's doing. And then he verifies the documentation, make sure the steps are correct, right? Then secondary shadowing means Kamala will let Najaf execute the work, the Dunning program, and she will watch him over the shoulders. Correct? That's called secondary shadowing. Any questions?
Clear.
You agree, Najaf?
Yes, Jay.
Kamala? Kamal?
Yes, Vijay. It's clear.
Right. Monsi?
Yes, Jay.
Okay, these are very super important. Okay. So I'm glad that I am actually able to share this to somebody. Okay. So that is very important. Secondary shadowing. Now sign off. Very important, right? Now when sign off, Kamala will say, yes, Najaf is on independent now, right? So sign off date. Make sense? Sign off, which means this is done. Okay. This is KT. This is just a KT. Percentage of completion is just a KT. This is the actual work, right?
Is that on the sign off date normally tentative? Or is it pretty firm?
That is why you have to create this. For example, there could be a public holiday. I mean, we all plan this, right? Let's say Najaf is on a vacation or he's pulled out to something else, okay? And Kamala busy with the auditing work. She couldn't really, focus on this. Then they will just play around with the state, right?
Okay.
They will change the date. When they change the date, you also have to mention here, you should percentage of completion. You put, you can put the remarks here, right? If this is not done, you have to write stories. I love writing stories. Okay, any remarks or follow-up? Okay. You can say this is pulled, so it's delayed. Let's say this is delayed, or let's say this is delayed. There's another action which is delayed. Then you have to tell the reason. Okay. Then you can say we rework the dates, and then so we adjust the dates, and so on.
Jay, here you have mentioned KT end date as 2/7, right? So the sign-off date must be like 2/7, right?
No, the sign off happens only after primary shadowing, secondary shadowing is done. So when somebody is giving a KT, it doesn't mean that somebody can actually do it, right? If I'm giving a KT, if I'm teaching how to drive a car, right? There's my responsibility to teach how to drive a car. Until you drive the car, I sit next to you, then it's not completed yet, right?
Right.
So that is called taking ownership. So now in this situation, Kamala is the owner. You know what's the meaning of owner, right?
Yes.
She's just not the owner of the scope. She's also owner of providing KT to somebody. Okay, her ownership completes when the receiver is able to do independently. That's when the second step. First step, the owner will execute. Najaf will sit, secondary will sit next to her, taking questions and taking notes, right? Getting a better understanding, because erstwhile he was only looking at the documentation, right? Now he is getting into the clear picture of looking at the system and so on. First thing is done. Then secondary shadowing is, so Najaf, the secondary will execute, the primary owner, okay, will look over the shoulder. Okay, yeah. Then it's not complete, then they go for another KT, right? If there's no sign off, then we can again add another thing, okay? Follow up. Okay, let's say this guy sign off is not done, okay, not completed. And what's the follow up? Right? Retrain, right? Redo the KT, correct?
Yeah.
Then again, follow up. Redo the KT, then you can write stories. Redo the KT, put the date. Redo the KT on and complete by February. So let me tell you, I like this type of work, okay? Now when I look at this, when I share this to my project manager, he'll be very happy, right? Right? He likes to keep you. Because otherwise, if you go and tell him story, yeah, defining scope, we are doing 3 steps, 1 step completed, 50% at that step, he will get confused. He'll just walk away, right? If you send it to him every day or every week, then rest assured, he will look through his phone and said, wow, Sindhuja, you did a good job, right? Will you do it, Sindhuja?
Sure, sir.
All right, so any questions?
No questions so far.
No, Jay.
Right. So like I said, standard routine is important, okay? The knowledge transfer, we talked about this. Standard routine I just shared here, okay? The next thing is architecture diagram. Let's see, data flow. Okay. So what is the data flow, right? So here you can simply say, go and run this program, run this program, run this program. Let's say you're defining a complex situation, okay, where the data come from. You're loading your data into something. where the data come from, who owns the data, and all this stuff. There you have to define you have to create a data flow diagram. Anybody know what's the data flow diagram? It's also called architecture diagram. You could say, okay, so let me open this. I sent it to Kevin a while ago. How many people have used visual design? VSD, they call it VSD, VST or VXT, VST. Anybody, Shaz?
No.
Never? Okay. Harman?
Like Tableau and stuff?
I don't know what that means, but
Um,
Oh, it's not
like
tab.
visualization techniques to present the data?
yeah, like you know,
Power BI. Yeah, so I've used some tools like
right.
Power BI and Tableau.
So let's do this. Okay. You see this now?
Yes.
Come on, expand this guy. Okay. So I should not show this. So this is an example. Okay. So look at this guy here. This is a server. This is the terminals. The data goes into this. Transaction data goes into this. The credit card transaction go into this, and so on, right? So this will give you a clear picture of what exactly this particular program or particular transaction, particular system is doing, correct? So you guys, as a consultant, you have to be very familiar with this. Okay, how to create this. So this is very easier. Instead of you tell them, okay, how does BW system work? How the broker commission system work? How the Nakisa work? How the Hariba works? How the Vistex work? How the Vertex work, right? So if you could define this in this graphically using the VSD. VSD is used, is a PowerPoint, so it's a Microsoft proprietary tool like PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. It has a VSD, so you can create this. Okay, you can actually create this in Word as well. So Word has all these functions, for example, right? So you could basically use the draw lines. Yeah, if you go to the draw, not the draw, right? You can do the shapes, right? You can insert shapes, you can draw lines, and so on. Okay, you can also do this in Word, pretty much. Okay, so for example, you can insert a shape here. Okay, you could say insert, add text, SAP VRIT EHP7. From there, people log into this access, insert, online pictures, or you can do pictures. No, I don't want to do pictures. I still want to do the shapes. Microsoft, don't kill me. So I'm going to put this guy, okay, right? And then I write another box here, shapes. And you guys know what's the difference between a rectangle, oval, triangle, all this stuff, right? Okay, in the data flow diagram, there is a meaning to this. Like this is the decision making, this is a data flow, this is a data container, and so on, so on, so on. Okay. And then yeah, if you do this flow chart, this is like a decision making. This is basically a file coming in, right, and so on. So you can use this as well. Okay. So this is very important. Okay, if you don't use VSD is it's a pain in the neck, you know, to define something. This is more easier. Okay, great. So that's called VSD. So you can use Word, MS Word, or VST to create this data flow or chart. Make sense? Good so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So next thing is the issue log. Okay, this is very interesting. So we will take an issue that we have been working on, right? We have always some issues in the program people post and we try to resolve it, right? We take that example and then try to work this through. What is an issue, by the way? Before somebody try to answer this question, there's a difference between issue and a concern, okay? Americans, okay, they never say I have an issue. I mean, in a corporate style, right? You should not say, oh, you know what? Okay, the job is going to run tonight. I have an issue with that. They will not say that. Okay, they will say concern. I have a concern. Okay, typically in a corporate American, an American. When I say American, everybody's an American, right? When you go and work in a company, you're an American too. Okay, I'm not checking somebody's passport. So in a typically in American in a corporate environment, not so much as in European. Okay. They're a little blunt, more blunt, but anyways, so they are, they don't say issue. And let's not talk Americans. We here say concern, not an issue. What's the difference between concern and issue? Any thoughts, Kamala?
Concern is like, my understanding is like there might be a problem, and it might, we are not sure about it, it might lead to some disruption. And issue is like, yes, there is a problem.
Exactly. So concern means before it becomes an issue, right? So that is why we are really good at this. So why the best management schools are in US, right? They teach proactive thinking, not as much as critical thinking. They teach, they're very proactive. So that is what they said they have a concern. So before it becomes an issue, right? Before it becomes an issue, they call it as I have a concern, right? Issue means something, it's already happened. It's an incident. It's already happened. It's occurred, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a concern, right? When something happens, that's an issue log. Concern means it is an assumption. You are just proactive thinker. You are thinking something could go wrong. You can never document this. You can work on it to prove your theory and fix it before it happens, right?
Yeah.
So concern is something that you have a concern about something pretty much, right? But issue is something somebody met with an accident. That's an issue. Concern is that guy does not have a driving license. That's my concern. Correct?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
So let's say issue. A lot of times issue happens, right? Typically this happens during a project go live, month end close, burden close, a cutover, and data migration. Could be anything, right? No matter how small your work is, if you learn how to create an issue log, if you learn how to break the problem, this is like, satisfying. The work is very satisfying. Okay, so you work for yourself. So, I always tell people about this, right? People come to my training center, get trained, right? Guess what? They're learning here and they're getting a job. The beauty of this is they are getting paid to learn, right? The learning never stops. They go into Apple or Airbus, wherever it is. From day one, they're getting paid to learn, right? So you don't have to wait for somebody to give you work. You don't have to assign, you don't have to wait for a manager, hey, do this, or you don't have to do anything. It's all you're paid to learn, right? You're going to sit there 8 hours. Right? So if you glorify your work, it's very satisfying. Right. So let's talk about the issue here. Without boring to death. Issue. Let's just come up with some issue that we have a system. You guys are working on it, right? We have some issues. Let's talk about the issue and break it down. Now, the reason I'm saying is when you break it down, a lot of the times when I do on-the-job support, when people post messages, they don't know what they're asking, right? First of all, you have to define a problem. Very important, right? You have to define a problem. A car breakdown is not a problem, right? What you cannot do with this, that is a problem. Car breakdown is a root cause, right? I'm not able to go and pick up my kid today. That is a problem. Why? Because my car breakdown.
Makes sense.
That's something called root cause. I'm going to add one more thing here, as you see here. So something called RCA. Root cause analysis. So if there's an issue that happens, you know, we have to define a root cause, why this happened, okay? Right? So we have to define when there's something, a ticket comes to your queue, a bank job failed, a bank statement failed, you can fix it and you move on. But how do you prevent this from happening in the future, right? If you do not know why something happens, it will happen again. So you have to find the root cause, right? And then document this so that you can mitigate this. You can prevent this from happening. That's called RCA, root cause analysis. Correct? So this is also another document. You have to learn how to find a root cause for any issues. You can just jump onto this and firefight and fix the issue and move on. No. How do you prevent this from happening in the future? So you should know what's the root cause. You have to document this, right? So let's do this. Can somebody tell me an example of root cause? Actually, while speaking, I forgot something. Something sparked my mind and it just disappeared. Can somebody explain a problem, an issue that we can try to break this down? Here, let's break this down into meaningful format. Most of the time, if you break down a problem, break down an issue, it won't be a problem at all. Okay. So when guys call me and said there's an issue, then I keep on asking question. Finally, they will accept that that's not a problem at all. Right? Because when they call me, they have assumptions, they have justifications, they have some kind of prejudice, they have some kind of bias, right? They think there's something they're doing wrong. Correct?
Correct. Okay.
So most of the time when you have an issue, when you break it down, when you find the root cause, okay, what is the system impact, then the problem becomes very small and you are not alone. Right? So I actually work for my previous manager. He's just simply great. I learned a lot of things from him. When you talk to him, he has no emotions, right? He wants to know what is the issue. He doesn't want to know what's your story, right? He doesn't want to know anybody's opinion. So he doesn't want to carry my opinion. He wants to know the fact. True fact, no nonsense, right? So how do you define an issue? One thing I wanted to tell you about this. There is a difference between fact and opinions, right? Opinion changes, fact always remains the same. A law is a law. Attorneys can interpret, right? So the fact is a fact, which goes into the books. Okay, so let's give an example. How many people know I know a lot of people have kids, and right before we watch a movie, before you want to evaluate, can I watch this movie with my family, right? What do we do? So any parent volunteer?
You watch a trailer.
Interesting. 2 minutes trailer. Okay. And then anybody else?
The rating, and yes, watch the trailer.
Ratings from where?
You know, the PG or, you know, if it's G or rated R.
Right. But rated R is not actually, not all the rated R movies are bad, right? Rated R could be for violence.
That's true.
Right. So how do we know this? I mean, where in the world? See, my problem is every weekend I have to scroll through 1,000 websites to watch a 1.5 hour movie. And PG-13 in US is not PG-13 at all. Right. It is not even for teens. So I don't know how they do all this. Can somebody tell me, what do we do? I mean, where is the source of truth? Where is available, right? Who speaks the truth?
Look for the reviews.
Again, reviews are somebody's opinion. I could write a review saying that a movie nasty, don't watch it, right? You know, right, in Hindu, people from India, I mean, they know that there's a Hindu movie, Hindu editions, dailies, right? They write reviews, okay? But the guy is more focused on his own literature versus actually telling what the movie is about, right? Most of this literature you can understand. He brings like daddy, you know, he was using some words which I never found in a dictionary before. So he is using his own prowess, right, to showcase his literature skill, vocabulary skill, which I don't want to know, right? So people have their own agenda when they write a review, right? Similarly, when somebody tells me a problem, that's their own agenda, that's their own personal opinion, right?
Exactly.
So where's the truth, right? So as you all know, there's a IMDb. How many people know IMDb?
In that movie database?
International Movie Database, yes. I love IMDb.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, if you did not know, he's my son. He actually has a profile in IMDb. He's an actor. Well, let's search a movie, right? Okay. I'm sure you'll walk away with some kind of information. So let's see. Let's take this movie, Jack Ryan. I only watched one episode. TV series. So this is, I think, Amazon Prime. I think this is going to like 3-4 episodes already, seasons already, I think. This is for mature audience, right? Now there's a lot of user reviews. If you go to user reviews, you will see all people's opinion, right? Now what I do here is, if you go to parental reviews, okay? User reviews, every movie has some kind of parental review. If you're not a parent, you will thank me later. Okay, let's not do this. Let's search a movie. Why I can't do this? No. What the hell I watched this movie yesterday? That's a good Gladiator. Okay. Everybody knows this movie, right? Gladiator. Okay, so basically, go here, Crucial Crow. You know, you can watch all this plot summary and so on, right? Details, company credits, technical specifications. Okay, if user reviews, these are basically, you know, people's opinion, right? There's something called parental guide, which usually visible, very used to using the phone. I couldn't find that here. Just bear with me a second. Plot summary, taglines, official details, box office. Let's not do this. Let's do this. There you go. Parents guide. Parents guide. This is a movie. Yeah, we can go to Common Sense Media too, but Common Sense Media is more opinion. A lot of uncle and auntie say this movie is crap. This movie is not for you. This movie is great. Okay. Let's do guys here. Right. This is the parents guide. Okay, for the movie Gladiator. Look at this guy here. Okay, this is not a review. They state the fact about sex and nudity. They give a rating mild. So if you see here, they exactly says, for example, a man and a woman kiss. The villain threatens to kill his sister's son unless she agrees to have it. Okay, so here they're not telling whether you can watch or not, right? They're stating a facts. They're saying what the movie has, right?
Okay.
So profanity, they said, yeah, few insults and one use of shame. They're not telling you it's a good movie or bad movie, right?
Right.
They only tell you what the movie has. Then it's up to you. They're leaving the choice to you, right? Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. There are few scenes with infrequent drinking of beverages that may or may not be alcohol in nature. See, they're just stating the fact, right? The violence. So I usually like this. The way I watch, not only that I just read this, I also try to interpret what exactly how exactly they state the fact, right? So they're not telling you whether to watch the movie or not. This movie is crap. This movie is great. They're not telling any of those, unlike Common Sense Media. If you go to Common Sense Media, they tell all this stuff. No, this is not good for you. This is good for you, and all this stuff. But Parents Guide, IMDb, they clearly just says the fact. Okay. So why I'm saying this? Why I'm saying the why I was showing that?
It's like the difference between issue and concern.
No, of course not.
You are describing the fact. What is the difference between fact and the other one?
Opinions, right? What you think versus what it is. That's called the true, right? So when you explain somebody, you should not be, carry something in your mind. That's called issue. So you have to very plain, okay, very plain and say this is an issue, okay? Whether even you committed the mistake, doesn't matter, okay? Second thing is when you write an issue, you cannot pinpoint anybody. You cannot say Najaf screwed this up, right? Najaf failed to execute the job. Najaf did not run the program on time. You cannot do this, right? You should not use anybody's name. That is why I showed the IMDb. If you go back again, that's a good method of explaining things. You agree, Harman? Harman, are you there? Maybe she's on mute.
Yes, Jay?
So do you agree this principle?
Jay, you're going to have to repeat that again, please.
I mean, the thing I showed you, does it make sense?
Yes, yes. And it was new for me, so I haven't used that kind of reviews to check.
Right. So the reason I'm saying is, let's talk about this. I think it's getting late. Let's do this. Issue. Shaz, why don't you give an issue? Then we try to tackle this.
Issue that the law running log is not showing.
Is it an issue? Dunning note is not printed. Okay.
Yes.
Or you could say customer did not receive Dunning notice. Right. This is an issue. Correct. So if you printing is a root cause, it did not generate. That's a root cause, right? So the issue is the customer did not receive dunning notice. Make sense? So what you're selling me is it's a broken car. I am telling you, because of the broken car, I am not able to go and buy groceries. That's an issue, right?
It is. Okay.
Now, impact. What's the impact? Customer did not receive dunning. What is the impact?
Customer did not make payment.
Right. Customer is not alerted on time, would delay the payment, right? Right? Right, Sindhuja?
Yes, Jay. Yes, Jay.
What is the root cause? Now the root cause is dunning notice did not print. Program did not print the notice. Right?
Makes sense. Okay.
Is it resolved? How do you resolve an issue? The impact is customer is not alerted on time, would delay the payment. Okay? Is it resolved? Let's say yes. What is the resolution? We sent a manual email reminder. Make sense?
Yes.
If it's not resolved, then this is nil. Why? Let's say you are not able to send a manual email reminder, or the customer would not accept an email, then there's no resolution, right? The resolution is no. If there's no resolution, what is the mitigation? Right? So let's say there's no resolution. So the customer is not going to pay on time because we did not alert on time, because the program did not print on time, right? The notice did not print. Now, if there's no resolution, what is the mitigation? Right? So the payments will be delayed, right?
Yes.
So we inform AR team about possible delay, or that's not actually mitigation. We're just informing this, right? So we inform the AR team. The AR team will change the baseline date or inform the customer. Something like that. So Najaf is running the program that did not print, okay? And you go and tell the boss, did not print the notice, okay? The dunning program did not print the notice. The boss would say, the next question, what he will ask, what is the impact, right? Right or not?
Right.
Yes.
That is the issue. For him, that is the issue. The system failed, the electricity failed, he doesn't care. Right?
Yes. True.
His problem is, what is the impact? Just imagine, always imagine, from now onwards, anything, you're going to look at the issue very clearly. Don't get confused with the root cause, opinions, aftermath, system impact, all this stuff. Okay? So when the cars broke down, that is the root cause. So what? Right? What is the business impact? I cannot get to my work on time. That is impact, right? I mean, that is the issue. And what is the impact? If I don't get on time, I don't get paid. That is the impact, right?
Exactly.
You agree, Kamala?
Yes, Vijay.
Now, so we inform the AR team. The AR team will change the baseline date or inform the customer. Or will apologize the customer or inform the customer. Okay, whatever it is. Now, this is resolved. We sent a manual email reminder. Okay. Actually, this is a mitigation though. This is the mitigation. So is it resolved? Yes. What is the resolution? We rerun the program. That's a resolution. Okay, that's a resolution. Let's say if there is no resolution, okay, well, anyway, sorry. So we rerun the program, now it's generated. Now, how to prevent this in the future? We have to find the root cause, right? Why it did not print in the first time? Correct? Why did not print the first time? So how to prevent this? So we can look at this, then somebody has to do the root cause. How do you prevent this from happening? Why it did not print now? Why when you generate again, how did it print, right? How to prevent this, right? That could be another root cause too. Okay, which you already know what's done did not print the notice. Okay, so we rerun the program. That is a short-term resolution though, right? Now this is long-term resolution. What is the long-term resolution? So we check the program again, check the parameters. Okay, whether the parameters are correct, the printer is loaded with the paper, all this stuff. Okay, check the parameter. Go forward resolution is make sure the printer has enough paper, the parameters are maintained correctly, and so on. And then owner Najaf. So Najaf is a owner, right? He's saying that okay, he's going to make sure the printer has enough paper, the parameters are maintained correctly. He's a owner. Then he has to say yes, I am going to do this. Okay. How would he know? How would he make sure that he's going to do this, right? Update the documentation. Update the standard routine or documentation. He's going to update this as a next extra step. So the next time when you run the program, he's going to look at this. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Sindhuja, you understand?
Yes, Jay.
Okay, see this thing you can apply in a real-time life principle too, right? We can apply, it's a common sense. You can apply to anything that we do every day to day. Right, Unit?
Take it down. Use ready password.
Now we run the program. Let's say, what is this? So there's no short-term resolution. Now long-term resolution is find the root cause.
Object.
And create a change. Okay, maybe it needs a change, right? We have to fix something, create a change. And go forward resolution is implement the change. And this owner could be Shas, because he's a consultant. He's going to make the configuration changes. Okay, then follow up, work with the change board, work with the change management team. Okay. Who has any questions? Who has more questions now?
So Jay, the order of those steps would be the knowledge transfer, and then the data flow, and then issue log, and then root cause. Would root cause come before?
Okay. Yeah, issue log. Yes. Okay, clear? So quickly, so we did knowledge transfer. We learned what is standard routine. So we need what is data flow and how we can use this, how we can create one. and we know what's root cause analysis, and we talked about issue log, and then in the KAT process, there is a knowledge transfer steps, okay? And we talked about primary shadowing, secondary shadowing, and then also we worked on an issue log. So we took an example that we are very familiar with, and then we broke this down in 2 instances. One is resolved, one is not resolved, okay? So it's a short-term resolution, it's resolved, right? The business could move on, nothing is stuck, right? Then we worked on the long-term resolution. Another situation, it's not resolved yet, but we did the mitigation. When we did the mitigation, the business impact is mitigated, right? So when I say mitigation, which means the impact is mitigated. Okay. Then we did the long-term resolution, which is we make the changes and implement the changes. And the very important thing is who is the owner. Then this cannot be 2 owners. Okay. Very important. It cannot be more than 1 person. You know why? Why we cannot have more than 1 person? Ashish? Why we can't have more than 1 person? Anybody? Hello.
I guess someone has to be responsible for the task, or accountable.
Exactly, right? The accountability you can create for the 1 person, right? If you have 2 person, then he would think somebody's doing it, somebody think he would be doing it, right? So you have to make 1 person accountable. So it cannot be a group, it cannot be a team. Even if you put a team there, then it has to be a specific person from the team. Okay, then the follow-up. You just don't assign responsibilities. You also do the follow-up, making sure he's doing the job, right? So somebody was asking something. Alrighty, we talked about KT plan as well, right? So this is the KT plan. What's the scope, start date, end date, owner, receiver, documentation available. If yes, yes. If no, no. What are the steps? The status and so on. Okay, it's a good work. Alrighty, so that's what it is, and then we will meet tomorrow. But I will watch tomorrow. I think today we were supposed to talk about logbox, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we will definitely talk about the logbox tomorrow, and then we'll continue with AP tomorrow. Okay. And then I definitely encourage you to watch this video again and again, and then let it sink in you, because you are going to be a consultant, just not any consultant, right? Good consultant. So you should know how to professionally develop yourself. Okay.